Just go rock me a bidets, and then I put up here C. Okay, whoops, that's the wrong place to put it. See, so I have to move the. This is stupid thing telling me that I'm streaming, and I'm just like, so what? I know I'm streaming. Why do you have to keep reminding me that I'm streaming? It puts this. You can't really see it, but there is putting junk in my view. That's the thing that I wonder about when people design software and they have this need to put in things that annoy the frick out of you, like if it's in your workplace, they're putting in their um, they're putting in stuff like buzzards and beeps and things into your software. I mean, into your hardware to annoy the frick out of you, to ruin your whole world. Like if it's in my case, we have a cashier, and she's sitting there, and there's a little printer on the side, and she's going beep beep beep, and she's handling orders, and she's like, "Fuck, I know that I need to refill the paper, so stop fucking beeping." Or if I go into the back of the store, there's a thing that goes off if like one of the doors are open or something is out of whack, and so it makes a big old noise and wow 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 wow. And until somebody deals with that, it's just ruining everybody's hearing by being so loud and annoying. And it isn't like the world is falling. There's no reason for them to have such things but they put those friggin' sirens on them because they think that they're the most important technologies in the universe. They have to remind to the entire world that we're so important that we need to ruin your hearing and fuck with your world. That's the thing that always screws with me, is that I'm a programmer and I know that certain things don't need to be so friggin' annoying in order to be. Um, I mean, you don't have to make things annoying. If you want to do something um, interesting, just put a little tune in there and go da, 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 and then or something. And every now and then it say, "Hey, dude, you got this thing over here. It needs some do. And things like that are not going to be so freaking annoying. It might be funny, and people kind of laugh at it, but nothing like that ever happens in the corporate world. They're more satisfied with just, you know, a beat or something. They don't want to. They're afraid to screw with things. They're conservative. They're fucking complacent, and they're just going to do things that are just like everybody else because they never want to step out and be fucking uh, different from everybody else. And that's the reason why I cuss. The cuss is really just to bring about some awareness of the issue. And I was thinking last night, how you fix the CCP. Nobody ever thinks of this. This is how you fix the CCP. You treat them like you treat yourself, according to what Jesus says. Jesus says you treat others as yourself, even you love thy enemy. One way to fix the CCP is to go to the CCP leadership. And you go to the CCP leadership and you say, look, everybody's cutting you off all the borders. There's no way out of this. We can offer a pathway. We will give you asylum in an island. You will be treated well. Um, we understand that we'll be perceived as the bad guy because we're giving asylum to people that have caused so much evil and killed so many people. But if we do this, then we could come in and fix the situation for you. Okay, and we offer you asylum, and you will live the rest of your days unaffected by whatever else in the world. Nobody's going to come out and kill you, and they won't even know where you are because we'll hide you well. Okay, and and I'm sure they have that option. They can contemplate and they could say, what's the alternative that we end up trying to fight the world and probably not going to have any effect. I mean, they haven't used nukes yet, and nobody's going to use nukes that is out for satisfying. It, I mean, the nukes are a last resort, and it's usually the craziest thing that anybody will ever do. If you're absolutely crazy, you'll use nukes, and nobody ever used nukes because they know that it's crazy to even use nukes. So if somebody was absolutely evil and crazy, they would use nukes, and the CCP is not. So what you do, you could still negotiate with them the idea of giving them asylum. So what you do is you take the government, the core set of heads there, you take them out, you give them asylum, and if you treat them well, then you will be able to do this with other evil governments out there, like the North Koreans and stuff like that. You take them out of their situation, you give them a situation where it's easy for them to exist and to survive, and then they don't have to worry about protecting themselves and stuff. They have to make a leap of faith to say, um, are they going to do this? Are these the kind of people that would probably help me out? And they may doubt it, but the thing is that we stand to lose if we can't do it, because then we won't be able to do it with other governments. And we reason with them that if we're able to treat you well, then we'll be able to treat those guys well. The importance to it is to take them out of that position, take them out of being responsible for the people, for the country, because the stability is pinnacle. They got all this stuff in place. They may feel stress and may not feel stress. Um, who knows? Okay. But the thing is that they're in a situation that they really can't. They've already painted themselves in the corner this same way as Hitler. And what did Hitler do in his last days? Because everybody was out to get him. He made a human shield. He took all the people that had really no fighting skills, and he put them between him and what in our fighting. We were killing civilians just to get at Hitler, and he was just using it to buy time so that he could have a few last hours. And what did he do? He just wanted to live normally. He had a wedding, and at the end of the wedding they had a celebration, and then they all took cyanide tablets so they would just instantly die. Okay, that's how he spent the last day of his life, was a celebration, a wedding celebration, because that's really what he wanted to do. Ultimately, he didn't want to be a dictator. He started out being kind of a dictator, and kind of defined his whole political agenda. And I can only imagine the reason why he gassed the Jews wasn't because he wanted to, but because he was afraid to that people's perception that he was sending them off somewhere, and he didn't have the logistics to take care of all the many people, so he had to kind of get rid of them. And I mean, that's not a very good way to get rid of people, but that was kind of how he was trying to deal with it. He was trying to protect himself, and he's kind of an evil person. But psychopaths are not evil. They just have no capacity to empathize or identify with other people as being like themselves. And so it's a form of evil, but the thing is that they can't, there's a physical limitation in their brain that they can't empathize with other people, and they can't identify. And it's kind of like being able to identify with ants, or being able to identify with things that you probably won't have a whole lot of empathy for anyhow, um, like chairs, and when you destroy a chair, how do you feel? You don't really feel anything. That's kind of how they feel, and they may come to understand. And another attribute of psychopathy is that whenever people feel emotions, they don't feel emotion, and so like if somebody gets cut on the arm, they're wondering why everybody is looking so strange, and then they have to go, oh, this guy's got cut. Oh, you're all responding to that. I had no idea, and so their brain doesn't, and so the only things they can really feel is absolute is satisfaction or dissatisfaction. And so it's frustration. They're either frustrated or they're satisfied. And if anybody doesn't do what they want them to do, then they're frustrated, and they may take that out either by doing something that makes everybody feel bad but gets the job done, or doing something that is even worse by killing people, and so these dictators, and what they need to experience is that there's people that will do things the way that they won't do, and in the case of the CCP, would if there's any psychopaths, they may actually be empathetic. They just don't identify with us as being like them, and if we bestow on them the kinds of love that they would probably bestow on themselves inside of that top head, they probably don't identify with their own people. They're probably trying to retain this policy of the idea that civility is pinnacle. You treat everybody. I mean, you get rid of anybody who's going to get in the way of keeping the country together and keeping people with the perception that nothing's going wrong, which is kind of their political policy and all that stuff. So what you do is you go in there and you say, okay, you know that there's no way this is ever going to be a good situation. The people in your own country are going to want to get rid of you, and you're trying to eliminate them from having any leg up on you. That's the reason why you're going around and eliminating any billionaires in your country, because you're afraid of anybody actually getting a leg up on you. We can get you out of that situation. You take a leap of faith. We give you asylum for the rest of your life. You live peacefully and happily. And every now and then we get you to put in a little advertisement and let people know that you're doing okay. And the evil dictators in other lands can decide for themselves whether or not you're doing okay. Maybe give them calls, and then they can discuss with them and say, yeah, we can offer you asylum. So we do that with those guys. The idea is we come in with a replacement government, and then we try to change the whole policy inside of that government, let everybody know we're no longer working communistically, we're working as a democracy, and that here's how things need to change. And then we have voting systems and things like nobody will have any reason to like really go against that, because they will come to the realization that they're no longer under a dictatorship, and they no longer have to like be afraid to talk, and they have all these freedoms. And then we're going to be have absolute transparency, let everybody know what's going on, and then you have people find ways of getting people working and things like that, and fix the whole situation. And you see the alternative is that if we don't do that, then they're going to continue to do acts of evil. They're going to continue to act out against the world like a rabid dog, or I mean, not rabid dog, but like a mad dog that's just trying to protect itself and is afraid of everybody. It is going to lash out at everybody. But if you're somehow able to tame it and take it out of that situation, not kill it, and especially in this case, because if you kill it, then it's just going to ruin your chances of fixing the situation in other governments that are dealing with the same thing. Anytime we think, I mean, if we took out Saddam that way, that was a bad thing, to go in and take out Saddam Hussein by just killing the frick of the guy, just handing him over to his people. That was not the thing to do. What they should have done is they should have given him asylum, give him away from his people. His people might have seen us as evil, but they might have started to understand the reason why we're doing that is so that we can fix other governments. It would come to their idea that this is a Jesus thing to do. Our government is not interested in Jesus. They're not. If they really were, then they would figure out solutions like this. That Jesus said, he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. If you use violence to fix situations, it's going to come back on you. It's karma. That you don't want to do acts of evil, otherwise evil are going to come back on you in some form. You negotiate peace. You don't go out and kill people. And what the whole Old Testament, what the Ten Commandments, the whole purpose of the Ten Commandments isn't a law by which you need to live every day. It is to a degree, but the thing is to point out that nobody's perfect. Everybody has failed, and nobody is good. And everybody kind of without any kind of Jesus, if Jesus wasn't there, God wouldn't see us as all being able to ever appease him. And so much of what religion is just looking for a metaphysical off switch into the world, into all the things that are wrong in the world. And so rather than fixing the things in the world, you look for a metaphysical off switch, and that is by putting a God there and worshiping it. And that's kind of a human thing, is that for the things that you have no control over, what do? You think, well, there's somebody up there or out there that can see what's going on, because obviously this world is not under our control, and there's perfection in it, and we understand that it's got to be kind of controlled. I mean, even the atheists would probably notice that there is perfection in the world. The thing is that some of them probably think we don't want to believe there is a God, because if other people think,
Hello?
so anyhow, so that's the idea. Oh, somebody's like hanging out near me.
Hello?
Hello, how's it going? I'm sitting here talking about
My sound ain't work, or do you just not have a mic? Go